So when we're kids, we're told don't judge a book by its cover. And I think definitely when you're dealing with people, that's a pretty good suggestion. That's a pretty good way to live your life. But for us authors, when it comes to our books, people absolutely judge a book by its cover, and we need to take that into consideration. We could have a fantastic book, an amazing story, but if our cover fails to attract the attention of potential readers, no one will ever get to experience that amazing story. And on the other side, on the flip side, I have picked up a book and bought a book because it had an amazing blurb, which we're also going to talk about at some point, and it had an amazing cover, and the story itself was absolutely awful. But you know what? The author still made money and convinced me to spend my money on their book because of the cover. So these are going to be relatively short videos because I want to break up each video into the different ways that you can go about creating your own, or creating an engaging book cover. Okay, so today what I'm going to talk about is what I would consider the first level of book covers, and that is either DIY, okay, do it yourself, or finding a pre-made book cover. Both of these options can be very viable options. I don't want you to think that because it's a DIY or a pre-made cover that they can't be engaging. Certainly there are a lot of engaging pre-made covers that you can get, and I've gone that route for some of my short stories because generally they're cheaper. And I have some author friends who have gone the DIY route through like Photoshop and things like that, and have created their own book covers and have created amazing book covers. Now I'm going to admit that the DIY route is not for me. What I like to do is give someone my idea, give my idea to an artist, and let them create something out of that. And it normally works out pretty well. People generally like my book covers. So, but this is definitely, excuse me, a budget option. It's definitely way cheaper, and it can be a very viable option. So, the first one is DIY, do it yourself. This is where someone who is savvy in Photoshop or knows how to use like the Canva website, which I will put a link below so you can link up to that. You go in and you create your own cover. It's all you. It's your design, your whatever you see. So the other thing before I move on, I have at the very end of this video, I've linked up another video to an author who has a 25-minute video on DIY that I think is really, really good. And that's something you're interested in, I would really encourage you to click over to her channel and watch that video on how to make your own cover. So some concerns with the DIY route. I actually did do this for my very first cover of A Chance Beginning, and it's so embarrassing I'm not going to show it. I'm sure you can find it out there somewhere, but it's absolutely awful. Had a really good buddy of mine who's an amazing photographer take a couple pictures for me, and then we kind of mashed it together, and I sent it over to CreateSpace when CreateSpace was still around, and they put it together, and at first I thought, man, this is great, and then I just realized that it was atrocious. So some of the concerns, right? Some of the concerns are, if you're not an artist, I consider myself an artist with the written word, visual artist, not so much. If you're not an artist, sometimes we just don't know what to look for, right? Whether it's coloring or just, perspective or whatever the case may be. And so you need to be aware of that. I think we really need to be aware of our limitations when it comes to that. Number two, if you are doing it yourself, you're getting into Photoshop or whatever, you need to make sure that the photos, the pictures, the drawings, whatever you're using are not copyrighted. You can get yourself into a lot of trouble by using images that are licensed and you don't have a license to use them. Okay, so you might want to invest in a company like I think it's Graphic Stock and Storyblock, and some of those companies that, you know, they cost $300 or $400 a year, but they allow you to use images, you know, free of those copyright concerns because you have this membership. That's probably the biggest concern. And then the last concern would be the software. Do you have access to, now there's a lot, like Canva, there's a lot of software online that you can use, and if you find one online that requires a membership or something like that, it's definitely going to be cheaper, but you know, you have to get the software, you have to know how to use it, and that's time consuming. I'm a teacher, I'm a dad, I'm a coach, and I'm an author. I just don't have the time, to be honest. So now the other one you can do is you can find pre-made, pre-designed book covers. Takes care of the copyright concern. They've already gone through that process. Now, the biggest concern here is, and obviously they're very cheap. I mean, I've gotten book covers for $69. Again, I use them for my short stories. And you know, they're great. They're good. You can play with the coloring a little bit. You can obviously play with the wording, but you're also very limited. You are limited to what they have. And the other thing that I've realized with the pre-made book covers is I've seen books that have the same cover. I think there's something really special about having a unique book cover to you and your story. You know, so when someone sees a book cover that is, I mean, they don't know it's a pre-made book cover, but then they see another book that has the very same or very similar book cover, you know, that has the potential of raising a red flag. Will it? I don't know. Will it deter someone from buying your book? Possibly, possibly not. But for me, that's a concern that I would have, okay? So your first option, and again, I'm going to drop some links below for you guys to use and click on so that you can explore some avenues if you're interested in DIY book cover or pre-made book covers. But that is the first level of book cover making, and getting an engaging book cover that's going to attract readers, so that you can get your amazing story out there and in the hands of the public and hopefully start making money with your writing. So thank you very much. Make sure you click on that video that links you over to how to make your own book cover. And until next time, happy reading and happy writing.